So I don't think the question is, will we get a second season of Kaguya-sama Love is War? I think the question is, when will we get said second season? Because this series was poppin' even before it got the anime release. It was very popular in Japan, and even overseas people were talking about it, and you know it's going to do well. With Blu-rays, DVDs, merchandise, you know it's going to boost the already successful source material sales. It will get at least one more season, and I think we'll have it sooner rather than later. And I have to say, if having Kaguya, a character who's dreamt of seeing fireworks up close, but because of a very sheltered and very, almost you could say, emotionally abusive family life, she's never been able to see fireworks past her window. And the fact that for the first time, not only is she seeing fireworks up close, she's seeing it with her crush, her first friend, and the first younger student that she tutored all together, and she doesn't focus on the fireworks, she focuses on the man's face that she loves. If that isn't romantic, I don't know what is, but that is the perfect arc to wrap up Kaguya-sama. And what this episode did was it tested something that I've been saying. I've been saying for a while that this is the only romantic comedy anime that I think you should drag out the confession. Typically with rom-coms, you're like, oh my god, just kiss and kind of get together already, stop dragging it out, it's boring, it's repetitive. We've seen this time and time again, but Kaguya-sama did something interesting and made the dynamic of two brainiacs not wanting to admit their feelings first actually continue to be refreshing and not repetitive. This episode was the perfect chance for both of them to admit that they loved the other, and that fireworks situation wasn't embarrassing, it wasn't cringeworthy, it was romantic, and they played it off as comedy at the end. And it 100% confirmed what I've been saying. This is the only rom-com where I want the confession to be dragged out, because that was the perfect way to wrap it up. The setup to the fireworks scene was great. I mean, you have Hayasaka who's sending out a tweet on Kaguya's account. I'm pretty sure that was her saying how she wants to see fireworks, so Miyuki or the others would come and take her so she could see them, planning an escape route, literally dressing up as her so she could go to see those fireworks, but to get her to realize that it's not just her who wants to see Miyuki. Miyuki also wants to see her. I love how she's setting her up to make her hopeful, like, holy shit, it's possible. It's possible he's just as anxious to see me as I am to see him. I love her as a character because you have such a depressed Kaguya who's being screwed around because, you know, her maids and just the servants, they're not doing anything they weren't told. You know, look after Kaguya, and if they see her kind of gallivanting and kind of, you know, leaving the house without telling, obviously they're going to say, well, you can't do that because then your father will fire us. If anything, you can blame the father, not really the servants, even though you kind of want to smack them around in that situation when they say, Kaguya, you can't go. But I like just, you're seeing how emotionally distraught she truly is, and it hurts to see, because Kaguya is usually a pretty serious, she has her silly moments and her blushing moments, but to see her that broken, and because there's been buildup of how much she wanted this day, like this is the first time that her summer vacation would actually matter, even though the entirety of it was wasted, but this one day would salvage everything. So to see that buildup with Miyuki trying to get there on his bicycle, and Kaguya trying to get there through taxi with one of the ramen gods there, like, it was just so nice because you knew they were going to meet up, but it was just a matter of when and if she could see fireworks. And I love how the music was building more and more to get you just feeling like, holy shit, I can't wait to see what will happen, because it really felt like the perfect moment for them to admit their feelings. On one hand, you think seeing Kaguya like this is the worst thing ever because you don't want to see Kaguya this distraught. But on the other hand, you think this is the best content we've seen because she's this emotionally broken, and she doesn't think her friends are looking for her or will really care too much. So to see Miyuki actually be there and kind of be the hero, saying some, one could say, cringy lines, those kind of cliche heroic lines, but for the first time you're actually saying, like, you know what? Those typical lines of, you know, the knight saving the day for the princess, like, that matters because that's what she needs. She's broken, she needs someone who truly cares for her to show her that it will be okay and that she can have a successful and very happy life. And Miyuki being there and not even thinking about, you know, being embarrassed in the moment. Sure, after he's embarrassed, but in the moment, all he can say is like, I haven't seen her for so long, I'm not going to let her suffer. And I think that just really shows how much they truly care for one another and just shows the overall development and care that they do have. Yeah, they might troll each other, yeah, they might have these battle of wits, but at the end of the day, when something this important happens to either one of them, you know Kaguya or Miyuki would do something like this for the other because they will not let them suffer and let the thing that matters the most to them not happen because of a family or just an event just kind of coming to a close too soon. He'll take her to another event. That's what you love to see because these characters for a majority of the season have been very comedic. They've been silly. They've been kind of just pulling the other's leg. but to have something as serious as this and to have it still be just as entertaining, if not more entertaining than some of the funniest content of the season, that's how you know this series is remarkable, because the characters are actually mattering. You can see that the past comedy scenes were actually development to lead up to this, having the fireworks, Kaguya in her delirious state. Just all these little moments were building up to something so emotional, and because we've had 11 weeks of seeing just how much they truly do care for one another, you're seeing that there's a reason why Kaguya, after saying how much she needs to see these fireworks, would ignore it in favor of looking at Miyuki, who she's just in awe of because of how romantic and perfect he truly is. Like, that is so great. It was so emotional building up to that. The voice actors were killing it, Kaguya probably stealing the show with how emotionally distraught she was, but just that music building up the tension to then just seeing the beautiful fireworks, like, that's how you know A1 went in, that they wanted to make sure that this would be the perfect adaptation, and based on a lot of manga readers' comments, it seems like they're pretty damn happy with how A1 adapted this. To then just how after such an emotional scene, they transition right back to Kaguya-sama charm with Miyuki just being so embarrassed, like, oh shit, I said all this in the moment I wasn't thinking, and now here we are. Like, that's what you want to see with Kaguya-sama. In any other series, you'd be like, are you serious? You're really gonna drag this out? But that's how they work. They have their whole life ahead of them. This is still the early stages for them, and and trust in the author to find new and interesting ways to put these characters in different situations while continuing to drag out that romantic confession, and just seeing how they keep passing one by, and how you have characters like Chico or even you kind of like butting in, and they're just like, holy shit, like, I gotta talk to him, but I can't because I'm so embarrassed. You have Miyuki thinking he ruined himself, that he was cringeworthy, where you have Kaguya who's just very self-conscious because that mattered so much to her, and I just love that build-up. It was such a repetitive scene, but they found new and interesting ways to continue to make it entertaining, just them passing by, spring cleaning pretty much, and how you have like these airplane situations where they're shooting the other down, to eventually Kaguya just shooting down Chika as well as you, so they get the hell out of there, and they can finally talk. Like, to actually have such hilarious comedy after such a serious and emotional scene, it fits so perfectly because Kaguya-sama cracked the code of how to do the perfect rom-com, have it be the perfect balance of comedy and romance, but also sprinkle in some serious character moments. And I love how after all this, and how she says the one word that Miyuki doesn't want to hear, which makes him think he actually was cringeworthy, there's no better way to wrap up a season. It's perfect. You got the character development, you got the perfect moment for Kaguya, as well as Miyuki. They're gonna love it in their own time, but they can't really confess right now. But one day, one of them will say, I love you, which my theory will be, eventually when it does happen, they're both gonna say it at the same time, and it'll end in a draw. But to have Kaguya's victory without even her really trying, that's just the icing on the cake on how to wrap up a perfect season of Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Honestly, usually by the time a season wraps up, I can reflect on all the episodes, see what works, what didn't, what they left out, and what I wanted to see fleshed out. Kaguya-sama, I think, is the perfect anime. Seriously, the characters, each of the main focus characters that we saw in the season, they all mattered. They had a unique personality, a unique mindset, a unique style of comedy to apply themselves. Their voice actors were killing it, and the fact that these comedic scenes were actually building up to more serious elements. There's actually a narrative here. It's not just comedy of the week. The characters are actually mattering. The comedy as a whole, the base level for it was entertaining. So that type of comedy where maybe you don't laugh out loud, but you're chuckling inside and you're amused. The peak of the comedy, which was a majority of it, had me busting out loud, gasping for air because I was laughing that hard, having to pause the episode, reflecting on how beautifully structured the jokes were, the voice acting killing it, the music killing it, the visual directing absolutely going in, like having characters' head explode because they're just so embarrassed. The visual directing and comedic timing to the show is second to none. Seriously, it is the most funny anime I have ever seen. Never had an anime crack me up this much, while also having really impressive characters that matter on an emotional level while being hilarious in their own unique way. This is a show that I really do hope lasts for many seasons. Whether we get a new season next year or a couple years or even a few years down the line, as soon as they announce it, I'm going to be jumping for joy because this is one of my favorite anime, hands down. Not only just from a pure entertainment factor, it's already succeeded, but the fact that the final stretch, especially because the story started doing a more structured tale of having all the little scenes kind of connect more fluidly and just more organically, like, it just keeps getting better and better, and I know it's only going to continue on this amazing path, and it's not going to get less in quality, because currently the lowest points to this show are better than a majority of comedy anime out there, including rom-coms as a whole. Amazing season, amazing build-up. I don't think there was a better final episode that this series could go for. I'm seeing a lot of people say that this was the perfect arc to wrap up on, and I can agree as an anime only. This was simply phenomenal. I love it. I need more. Kaguya, Miyuki, Yu, Chika, narrator, all the characters in this show are just fantastic in their own way, and it doesn't matter who the focus is on, it's always entertaining, and the fact that we have such a lovable cast of characters that we're dying to see more of, it just shows you how good the series really is, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go in the future, as I know we're going to get that season 2 sooner rather than later. Let me know what you thought on the final episode of Kaguya-sama Love is War Season 1 down in the comment section below. Manga readers, anime originals, whatever you're feeling, let me know. And be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.